wrong way, the only way. And that can kill you. Love it. Love that smell. Nasty. Hey, we got this Dodge 1-ton truck here. The guy brought it to me with front end noises. And we've got a pinion bearing that's howling and making noise. The reason it's doing this, come here, I'm gonna show you. This wet oil that's coming out of this pinion seal, and especially with all this grime that's built up from the oil leaking around it, this thing's been slinging oil for quite some time. When these things get low, and they do get low, and in fact, how low are they gonna get? Right here's the edge of the seal. It's gonna leak right down to the bottom of the seal. There's a pinion bearing inside there. We'll disassemble it and I'll show it to you. But as soon as you run this thing, and the bearing that's in there that's supposed to be lubricated is running dry. It wipes them out real quick. A little bit of maintenance, attention to detail, your oil change shop. We've never seen this vehicle before. Should have brought that to the guy's attention. Or you crawl under the truck, if it's your truck or car, and look for these telltale signs. Now this is really wet right here, so this is like a no-brainer. But do you see how sometimes they'll come in and they'll have run dry for so long that what you'll have is just a bunch of, looks like wet mud build up here. Let's go to the rear differential. This is a good example that doesn't leak. Let's see, we've still got all this mud here and debris that's been blowing up under the truck, but none of it's got moisture or like an oil residue on it. So that's an indication that, you know, I've got no leaks there. That's how you would tell if you're a do-it-yourselfer and you're not going to a shop that's really inspecting your car twice a year. We're going to pull this differential down. I'm going to walk you through it. I want to show you what we need to look for and how we get it back together without it making noise and it's dialed in correctly. So let's check it out. This is how I teach Caden. His toolbox is within a step of his work area. Okay? He's not walking across the shop. He's got some of his tools laid out that he knows he needs. And the bench that he's going to be tearing down and putting parts on is right here too. Okay, it's all cleaned off, ready to go. Not a pile of crap on it. He's not working around crap. Organize your work area and set yourself up for when you're going to a job. Do the same when you got to go to another job. That is such a key in being a good mechanic and making money in this business. So one of the first things we want to do when we pull this off is we want to be looking inside, and we also smell it. A lot of times, man, these things will smell burnt, dude. I mean, they smell funky, nasty. So you want to make sure that you're kind of looking for that. I don't have a lot of, there's a little bit of, I can feel that little metal in there. See that? Not too bad, though. Here's some here, too. Now, here's what I would do on this. This is a flange. We're going to inspect this drive line, pulling it off, but I'd mark this where this comes off so I get the flange. That makes it easy. Look here. See, now I put a little mark in there. That was even better. Now, this is a good time to inspect your yoke and your U-joints. Is there any binding? No, feels pretty good. There's no looseness in them. Sure would be nice if it had a grease cert. If I were going to replace these, I would try to find one with a grease cert that you could maintain. And then we want to check this trunnion joint up here for the same thing, and it feels fine. Okay, good. Set your pinion nut right here. Will that yoke come off? Sometimes they don't. Yeah, we'll deal with it later. I'm right-handed, okay? If I have two options, I'm not going to mark the right and the left. I'm always right-handed, so this is what I put in my brain since I was a little boy. If I'm going to mark two things, I always mark the one, my dominant hand, okay? So I'd mark the right side. Okay. So then when you pick one up and one has got a mark on it, my brain always says, well, that came off the right. Okay, that's all you got to do. Okay, one of the things I want to look at here before I tear this down is I want to check our spider gears. Now these here will have, these are pretty dang good. They're not cut up. This is a fully open diff. This means there's no posi in this diff. This thing is just gonna, you know, you get one tire slipping and sliding on this thing, it's just gonna sit there and slip and slide all day. This is not the kind of diff I'd have in my four-wheel drive, but maybe we'll see if the guy wants to upgrade it to a limited slip. The problem with the limited slip is they'll kind of bind and bump on turns, but we'll see what the guy wants. I don't think I'm going to have a problem here with my ring and pinion. I don't have any unusual wear on my heel or toe part of this gear, and you want to look on the load side and the coast side. Okay, leave your bolts in there. The bolts kind of help you to get some leverage in there to get that off there. Whoa! Okay, you undo the other one. This particular differential gets its preload and moves that ring gear by these threaded cups here. So we're going to do one side. Now I'm dominant. I tell the guys that, you know, if you have to do one side, do your dominant side. That way you never come back and go, did I undo the right or the left? So if you're right-handed, put it in your brain, that's your dominant side. Whether you mark something, whether you're trying to reference off something, you know, that's a quick way that you can always go, what did I undo? It's your dominant side. So we're going to undo, we're going to back this off so that this ring gear, the carrier assembly can roll out of here. So let's take a pin and unscrew that. I'm going to undo this about a half a turn. Okay? I'm not going to get crazy and undo a bunch of stuff that I don't need to. Now I'm going to roll this out of here. Okay, keep going to the bench. No pitting in this. I mean, this isn't like a prime example of how bad it can get. But the kit will come, the kit that I get will come with bearings. So we'll just keep going here. Okay, so here's our big side of the pinion bearing. Doesn't look too bad. Looks like we've chipping some chrome off there, chromium off there, but it doesn't look too bad. This is the bearing that's usually roached. That's the one, because the pinion sits in there at an angle like this. So the highest point is up here. And when the oil starts to leak out, this is the first bearing that suffers, always. Your small pinion bearing. That seal thing, that's good for like when you got a seal that ain't metal and you know you're gonna pop that out of something easy, very easy. Okay. And here's the bearing. Boy. See the discoloration here? Now this is not that bad. Sometimes you get them and the bearings are just pitted up to all crap. But this is not that bad. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace the two pinion bearings, put a new seal in it, clean all this off because I don't want somebody else seeing this later. That's a big thing that happens. You know, this truck comes into me, somebody would have done all this work that I'm doing and not cleaned that off. It comes into me and somebody's done that. What am I going to do as a mechanic? I'm going to say, hey man, your front pinion seal's leaking. And the customer's going to probably think either the guy that did it before didn't do it right, or I'm trying to maybe do something that's not honorable for him. So shops, mechanics, clean your mess up when you fix something so that nobody else gets tripped up because you didn't clean up the old residue. Just clean that up. Give that seal surface a brand new, smooth, shiny surface to ride on. So that seal, the brand new one, there you go. Beautiful. Look at this. Look at that. That's not pressed on there. That's all the way. You wonder if somebody's, that's just weird. You see the distance between that shim? Huh. I don't like to put something like this in the press and just grab it by this outside cage where this bearing is, because what has happened to me, and this is that's why I want to talk about it, is each one of these is a projectile. So you put your bearing spreader on here. And what happens is this starts to press off. These things catch the inner race, and if one of them comes off, when you've got all that pressure on here, it's like firing a bullet, and that can kill you. It's not safe. So what we want to do, and I recommend this, I cut the cage off and pull that out of there so I can grab that inner race so that I don't have any loose parts that can hit me. So that's what I'm doing here, and I'm going to show you how I do it. Okay, so now I'll remove this cage off of here. Seeing all these little bullets? That way they're not going to hit anybody and hurt anybody. I just get those out of my way. Now when I grab that race, that inner race, I don't have anything else, and I'll try to grab it down here. That's just an added measure of safety when I'm pressing a bearing off. There's a right way to put a bearing spreader across a press, and there's a wrong way. Let's show you the wrong way and tell you why. This would be the wrong way. The reason is these bolts will bend. You put a bearing spreader in there and you start to spread things, then bolts are just going to do like this, and now you've basically torched your bearing spreader. When you're pressing, you want to put the bearing spreader between your bridges like that, so that the weight is on all that, and the bolts aren't absorbing all that push. Okay, so everybody out there, wrong way, the only way. You want to keep the same amount of shims. I just had one shim in there. You want to keep them shims in there. Put that down there like this. And what we want to do is, when we're pressing a bearing, we want to make sure, use your old race. That's a great thing, because you want to make sure that you're pressing on the inner cage. You don't want to, or I'm sorry, the inner race. You don't want to press on the cage. And the cage, if you'll look at it, is higher than the race. So if you put something flat, if I just put this in my thing and press like that and pressed it, it would bend that cage and I'd ruin the bearing. So you put your bearing on there like that, use that inner race like that. Look at that. Isn't that's made for it. That's wrong. We want to make sure that we're pressing like that, okay? Now when we're pressing, you notice once I put pressure on this, my cage is loose. I'm not pressing on the cage. I don't want to press on that cage. That'd cause me all kinds of grief. My shim's installed there. Let's push it down. See my cage, nice and loose. Hopefully your press has a gauge, and you can tell when you're bottomed out because you'll start to build pressure and nothing's moving. So now we got to get the old races out of the pinion, the front and rear pinion bearing. We'll knock those out from both sides. Sometimes they got shims behind them, so you want to be paying attention to that. This side doesn't have one. What a shim would do, let's talk about it. It does have a shim, I think. Pull that out of there now. Is there a shim on the back side of that? No. The race? Nope, nothing. Nope, no shim on that one. There might be a shim on this one though. So go ahead and knock that one out. Doesn't look like there's a shim on that one either, is there? Keep going. Okay. And there's no shim on that side. Sometimes they'll be in there, they'll be razor thin. Okay? Let's talk about that. Why would they might have a shim on this is because they want to change the depth of that pinion gear. So as this pinion comes down through there and engages the ring gear that's in here, you might want that, as it meshes with the ring gear, you might want it to be moved this way or that way. we're going to assume, because we don't have any bad wear patterns on this ring and pinion, that everything's set up right. So we're going to go ahead and just install the new race on both sides of that without adding shims or anything like that, and then we'll finish setting it up. Just like in a press, I saved my old race to press on the bearings. I saved the old race to pound in and press on the new race. They work great, because you don't want to pound on the new race. So use your old race, clean them up. See, when it's not moving, this is your key. When you're driving it in a position and it's not moving, and you can see that it's not moving, you're hitting in the wrong spot. You want to go a 180 across from that, because you got a pinch and a bind in there. So pay attention. That's telling you something. When you're hitting it, it's not moving, you need to go somewhere else. There you go. See that? The more of it you got in there, the more you were able to just knock it further on one spot. It's because it's got more, it's got more of the housing in there, and it's harder for it to bind up. If you go to the other side, you'll see you're not butted up against that. It's not up against that purchase, So you got to go in a little more. This is where it gets hairy, because you're going to have to get your other punch and grab the edge of that. And it'll also change pitch when you hit that. You know what I mean? When you bottom out, you're going to hear it. You're pretty dang close, man. I think it's your 5 o'clock. Whack that thing. I think you might have got it, bro. I think you got it. Yep. Now see, you're grabbing aluminum. I would avoid that. That's more for seal, bearing racing seal driver. Steel, not going to give you the crap that's going to, you know what I mean? Start it, just, do, and square up on that and do that. You going? Huh? Got to go a little more?
Or I'm getting enough.
Run around the other side and look at it with your light. No, it was too big. Okay, you're good. Drive it in the rest of the way. We'll have to clean that up, because that's where our seal edge is going to go, okay? Okay. Okay. So we're going to put a little bit of oil on that. Okay.
Yoke's too tight.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Here, come here. Okay, we got two options. You're saying that this bearing won't go down there far enough to get the yoke on to grab it. Is that what you're saying? Okay, so what we want to do is we want to put some heat to this, okay? Now we got oil in there, which is going to be a problem for us. So what we want to do is we're going to oil that race. Just put a little film of oil on there and not put oil on this. So let's go ahead and blow this off, because this is going to just smoke like crazy here. Okay. Go ahead and grab it. Get all set up and I'll give you the shaft. Just drop the bearing on there first. It might just go. Just get it on there. There you go. Can you get it with the nut? Or you need me to hold the back side while you tap on it just a tad?
I can get it.
You can?
Yep.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Inside that differential, you've got that big pinion gear here. The shaft comes through here. You've got that crush sleeve here. And you've got the bearings here. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get the proper amount of preload on those bearings so that they're seated in the races properly. You don't want them too tight and you don't want them too loose. Okay? So the first thing you got to do is take out 0 end play so that nothing moves, and then you're going to go a little more. And that we're going to measure that a little more with an inch-pound wrench. And that's called the pinion bearing preload. That's the first spec you want to get right. So let's look that up and see what that is. Don't reinvent the wheel. Put it all back. Use the same shims. Start from that point. Don't discard what's already been there. It's probably going to be close enough. And you're going to check it at the end. If it isn't, then you got to go back and redo it. But 9 times out of 10, if you'll just re-go with the way it was set up, as long as your pattern, some guy didn't monkey with it, and your pattern on your ring and pinion look good, you're probably going to hit the mark. Whoa, that's good. Whoa, you don't want to go too much. If you go too much, you're getting close. Give me like 4 inches. Whoop. Look at you, dude. This is the hardest part of building the differential right here. Feel that. Now let's measure that. Let's just see where it's at. We're not there yet, but you see the turning torque is like
2, 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3. So let's go a little more. Okay, whoa. Oh yeah, feel it now. It's a little more, right? So we're getting pretty damn close. Okay, our turning torque, 30. No. Okay. Whoa. I think that's gonna be good, dude. So 5 would be 60.
Okay.
And I'm 4.9. So I'm right in the money. Okay, now take that old nut off of there. Okay? I never like to hit on a seal if I don't have to. So I can use the old one. What that does, if you think about it, it's spreading the load out. So that this divot that my hammer is making on this part here, the small contact area, is being distributed across a larger seal surface. Sealer, if you got some Teflon, you got any?
Yep.
Yeah, just put a little on them. I'm gonna make sure that's all nice and clean. Okay. You're not going to crush that sleeve. You tighten that thing as tight as that thing will let you go.
Okay.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's good. So we're 6 foot-pounds. 6 times 12 is 72. We're still good. Okay? There's no kinks in it. You know what I mean? It's not kink. Okay? So now we're going to roll in. We didn't replace these bearings. We want to clean that up.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, put that one on there. We're gonna put this up in there. This is where you get manly. Okay, I'll hold it while you grab the thing. Okay, that's not the one you marked, right?
No.
Not tight, I just want them, yeah, hit that top a little bit. There you go. Okay. Sometimes they don't have these threaded cups like this, okay? What they have is like the shims, okay? And you want to make sure you keep your shims in the same spot. So what we did here is I turned this a half a turn down. So we want to get this in here. See, you never want to do, a lot of guys will think that they can do their pinion preload with the differential housing in. You can't. You have to it's just got to be the pinion. Because now this is going to be way more than 70 foot or inch pounds. You know, because you're turning what? You're turning the load of that gear and all that.
Yeah.
So that's important that you understand that. You cannot check bearing preload with all this shit in there. Okay? Okay, so now the last thing we got to do is check our backlash. And that's it right there. So let's go see what the backlash is. Set up the dial indicator, but my old man shit tells me we're on money, dude. Okay? You can just do that, and you're going to zero the indicator, and you're going to like that on it, and it's going to move that needle 5 thousandths. Okay? That's what you're after. Go ahead and set that up. You do it, because this is all garbage here. You're not even close. Okay, this is what you want. Okay, and this turns on your magnet. Oh. Did you see?
Yeah.
That's all that does. Indicator with an extension on there, and he doesn't have a little tip. Where's the damn tip? Well, they're missing the tip. You see, there should be a little tip that you could screw in there. This one doesn't. We'll just use that one. See that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now we're going to come on here like this. Like that, and then we can loosen this up, and this allows us to kind of just do what we want to do. Energize my magnet. I want a little bit of stronger. I need more metal, so maybe we'll go here. Oop. Turn that magnet on. Oh, let's go this way now. There. Okay. Okay. Now if you loosen this thing will basically just kind of do what you need it to. See the joint here?
Yeah.
Just let it turn like that. Then have it, and then so that's each one of those is 1,000, so I'm 7 thousandths. You see that?
Yeah.
I'm on the money. See, that's 7,000. And then when I say I'm on the money, all I did was put it back together. The last thing we'd do, if we'd replace the ring and pinion, is we would paint them and we'd check our toe to heel pattern. We didn't replace the ring and pinion on this. All our specs are within spec. I'm not going to check my pattern. It's a waste of time. I didn't change anything. Everything's within spec. I'm going to put it together. I'm going to fill it up with some fluid, take it on a nice test drive here on the stand, on the lift, and I'll listen to it on D-cell and S-cell. And I'll see if I have a different pitch and whine or anything like that. If I don't, I'm good to go. Condition, cause, correction, confirm. We're down to the confirmation of our repair. We had bearings that were noisy. We're going to run it, and I'm going to listen to it. I'm going to do it 2 ways. I'm going to do it old school, and then I'll do it, I think we'd call this newer school, although this has been around for a long time. But boy, I used to do this a lot, man. I put that right on my ear and put that wherever I want, you know, and I can hear better that way. I put that right here on the bone of my ear. So let's listen to it. Fire it up. Let's put this thing and run it up to about 30 miles an hour in 4-wheel drive. Nice and slow. Obviously, you guys can't hear what I hear. And I want to talk to you about this because I'm never going to get this. I don't know how I'll ever get this on video, but I want you to explain something. a bearing, when it's bad, will sound like this. Okay, I'm gonna do my best. When a bearing is smooth and it's running, it sounds like this. It doesn't growl at you. That growling is the two surfaces just grinding against each other. Once you hear it, you'll know it. And as a young mechanic, or if you've never had that experience, you need to, next time you got somebody who's got a bearing noise, because I tell you, that's the quickest way to find out. You just listen to where every bearing is at in this thing while it's running, and you basically can pinpoint what's going on. Now you might have other ones like, we only had the two that were bad. So that's the only two that we replaced. But that's how you can tell. And then you check your work and confirm that it's good. Make sure you got no leaks. Remember, clean all this off so that somebody, when they're looking at this again, they're not looking at old residue and will just condemn your job because you didn't clean it off. It's all done.